You're not on the agenda, now would be the time to come before the board. And it's up to you.
Good right here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Jeff from Bailey. Of course, Brian, most of you know me. I've got a big mouth. I'm representing the food trucks rally. All the food trucks, they was coming, some was coming, they all got called, I got in Texas, where they're all selling food tonight at places. So I can't blame them for not shutting down to come. And I'm also representing the bowling alley tonight also. We started this April 24th. And, I know Brian said he had some people call him. It was, I think, had a question, was he inspected, was he clean? Food trucks are inspected. A restaurant, of course, everybody knows my dad owned the Golden Dairy Drive-In. I know how they're inspected. They're inspected one time a year. That's it. Surprise inspection, no matter when it is, they come and they check them. Food trucks were, the state says a minimum of twice a year, but they're actually inspected. The ones I've talked to so far, and I talked to Dale, the inspector, they've been 8 to 10 times already. Brian said he had 4 calls. Well, the same 4 calls called Dale, the state inspector. And this is what Dale wrote. It said, on 5/24/23, I made a site visit to the food truck rally on East End Lanes in Rogersville, Tennessee. All food trucks and tents have current licenses from the state health department. The event is on private property and no temporary food vendors are allowed to set up sell food. And Dale signed off on it at that time. I can give anybody a copy, or I can see this in one more. Guys, the trucks don't have a problem with like they do in Kingsport, Greenville, Johnson City. Johnson City started to do something that's about like what this, and they backed up because Jonesboro does it, Marshtown. They sell a $50 a year permit to set up in the city. Now, I know they brought up the event ticket and everything. This is not an event, and neither Marshtown nor nobody else does this. It sells it for an event. They set up at Food Cities, or not Food City, but Rural King down there and stuff. They set up at Jonesboro, at Troyer's, and it brings up people. There's no officer. The sheriff was there, mayor, your son was there eating that one night, and everybody. So I mean, everybody's coming out, and what we're doing is helping the bowling alley. If we don't do something, we're going to lose that bowling alley. On Tuesday night before the last rally, you know how much they made? Brad's sister told me, $11 for the whole night. That was over 3 o'clock all the way to 10 o'clock at night. $11. You can't keep the lights on for $11. And so we started doing the food truck. We started giving, they started opening up on Wednesday, giving discounts to people. They've been doing more on Wednesday night, people coming in. We've got people coming from Marshtown to the food trucks to eat. And one family there, they was about 7, they said, we didn't know Rogersville had a bowling alley. Marshtown shut their bowling alley down. So people's coming up here now starting to bowl. So we've had 25 to 3,500 people at each one of the rallies. And at the first rally, I just want to bring people to the community, give them something different to eat. And of course, I heard a couple people say, oh, you're going to put the locals out of business. If they can't survive 2 nights out of a month, they're going anyway. Plain and simple, they can't make it. But then the second one, I started thinking, I want to tell you, I don't charge nobody nothing to set up, and neither does Mr. Whitson. He don't charge them to let me come in there and use the property. But I went around and I started asking if you want to donate to give to St. Jude's. I was able, I got a copy of the check on my phone right here. I sent St. Jude's a $600 check after that first one, or the second one, I'm sorry. The third one we done, I went around at the end of the night and I said, you want to give to Children's Hospital. I was able to deliver to Tammy Weiniger, and I was able to deliver $750 to the Children's Hospital. Now we was going to do one this last Wednesday when it rained. We had the Percy Fire Department. They was going to bring a fire truck out, and at the end of the night, we was going to go around, take up to the Percy Fire Department, and we was going to start doing all the fire departments around. That's what our plans are doing, is to do all the fire departments and give to them. Then we've got the Humane Society. They've been setting up, and they asked me about doing one for them. I said, once we get the fire departments done, we will do one for the Humane Society. I want to see the board come out and actually work. I don't want to see them sitting at home, letting the women do all the work, and they're sitting there getting the glory for it when they break ground. I want to see the board working. So I mean, and then we're just going to keep on doing charities of all kinds. So nobody's making money on it as far as putting in pocket, except the food vendors are selling. And they're making money, but they're also giving back. And if somebody said, I heard somebody say, well, they're all from out of town. 5 of the food vendors we got are from right here in Hawkins County. They live right here in Hawkins County. So they're putting tax money back in. Then, to notice the food vendors themselves, I had to run the Food City myself. Buy food, chicken. They give me money to buy chicken and stuff, or they run out of chicken and stuff. And I Don't Care Kitchen stopped down at Walmart and bought a whole SUV full of stuff, paper towels and everything else. So it's bringing revenue into our account, into our city, into our town. It's getting people that wouldn't be out on Wednesday night, it's getting them out. And I know the ordinance said something about city police. I asked the sheriff, him and his wife was up there, and I said, you think we need police up here? And he said, why would you need police up here? It's a food rally. And I said, exactly. And I know that the attorney, I watched the meeting, and the last thing the attorney said was, we got to make sure we can get a fire truck and rescue squad in. Well, they're marked off up there, and they brought one guy decided he wanted to bring a bass boat through, and he brought a bass boat all the way around circling. And I promise you, at the end of the cruise ends, I've got the Jeeps, I've got the motorcycle, and the cruise ends and the Heritage Day something, you're not going to get a bass boat through in this town down here. We've got 3 restaurants connected down here in this town together now. If there's a chance of a fire, right there's where your chance of a fire is at. When you've got 3 restaurants connected together, there's a chance of a grease fire real bad. Then we could lose our city, because there's no way a fire truck could get in there with the cars in there like they are and get the people out where fire trucks can be. But I asked just to, like I said, the food trucks have no problem paying a $50 like they do everywhere vendor fee. They are all licensed by the state, and Bill Lee just signed into law where one state inspection, fire inspection a year makes them legal for all over the whole state. So they're legal anywhere in the state for fire inspection, one fire inspection. And the health department checks them, like I said, they're checked. They're supposed to be checked at least 2, but every one of them up there has been already checked 8 to 10 times. So they're cleaner than a restaurant is. Trust me, I've been in restaurants, I know what they are. They're a lot cleaner than a restaurant, because when they break down that night, they clean right then, because the next day they're going to go set up somewhere else. And they're setting up towns. And we've already got the reputation of being one of the best places for food trucks. So guess what? With that getting around, people's coming. This next one, if we have it, we'll have a hibachi grill. We don't have an hibachi grill here in town. We don't have one that's got hibachi. We've got one that's got Jamaican chicken on it, jerk chicken. He's directly from Jamaica. We've got a Cuban one. It comes, a woman's directly from Cuba, and she makes Cuban sandwiches. The bread is coming up from down in Miami, shipped up here every week. So we're getting stuff up here that nobody's ever had. I never had jerk chicken. I never had that Cuban sandwich. I ain't crazy about it. I like them both. I eat with them. So I ask you, please consider just doing the permit, and that's it. And I mean, that way, if they set up out here like the donut truck does, because I heard Miss Edwards asked if it's going to affect the donut truck. Well, it would affect everybody if they all had to buy a permit. And that's fair. That's fair to everybody. But if you start saying you're going to leave this one out or leave this one out, it's not fair to the owners of the property either. So I just ask you to consider that when you take your vote tonight. Thank you.
Got anybody else who wants to talk? Yes.
I moved here from Omaha, Nebraska just about 2 years ago. And I moved here 1,000 miles to a small town for community. I moved here for the small town environment. And a lot of that is this kind of idyllic thing where people get together and it's organic and it's happy. And I will say that honestly, there's not a lot of that organic stuff here. This food truck rally is actually the first thing that I've seen that's like that. That was organic, that came because people had a desire for something and the community brought it to them. Not the board, not tax money, not anything that they had to pay for. People out of the good of their desire to bring everybody in the community together, put that together. And I can tell you right now, these ordinances are more consistent with big city politics than small town values. And I have to ask, the timing is a little bit strange too. I mean, you know, they have a peddler's license requirement for the county already. And to see that these ordinances and these permit requirements came into question after one successful event where the city wasn't making money off of it seems a little bit odd to me. Because then the minority of people came and asked and said, well, and I will assure you on the Facebook page, on everything, it is the minority of people saying, oh, well, we just want to make sure it's getting done right. Well, they already have a state permit. They are already meeting the current requirement of the peddler's license. So the only thing that I can, you know, see from the timing is that it's a requirement for the city not making money off of an event that came about organically and is on private property in West now. They made that adjustment right after that first initial food truck rally to make sure that that wasn't even an issue. So the timing seems a little bit weird to me, and it also is just a little bit disappointing because from the personal aspect, why does the city want to see things that aren't city sponsored and paid for come together? I can't really see a reason for that. It's really sad to have moved here for this kind of small town environment and see the couple things that have come about like this kind of get shot down just for what appears potentially to be financial reasons. And I would like to say that I personally would love to see even more things like this come about, even more organic events come about, just because people ask for it and want it and put it together on their own. Because that's what this kind of town is supposed to be like. And more so, you're going to see all of these places, if you get these requirements and all these things, they're never going to come back here. A lot of them are just going to go to the other places where they already have a permit, where they already don't have to pay another $50, where they don't have to pay for another inspection. They're just going to go to all of the other food truck rallies that are all over all of the other small towns. And furthermore, the other reason that I saw was, you know, when the alderman asked the attorney to find out what other towns are doing. Why does Rogersville have to be like every other town? Rogersville should be its own town with its own things. And if the city people don't want that, then we shouldn't do it. It doesn't matter what Morristown is doing. It doesn't matter what Kingsport is doing or Johnson City. It's about Rogersville. And people move here to live in Rogersville. And they vote for Rogersville. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Yes,
I would like to say one more thing that I had. Some of these food trucks wind up planting in the town where they can. Actually, the Jamaican guy planted over in Greenville. They actually plant themselves a permanent spot there. And since we've started doing it, I've got to talk to, like I said, we've got 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 people there. And I stay up there the whole time from 10 o'clock in the morning when I start parking trucks to 8 o'clock at night. When I leave there, I'm dead. And I don't get a thing out of it except free food, and I'm probably gaining weight from that. That's probably not a good thing, but it is. But I'm hearing people say, well, I never had been to Rogersville. And they're like it. They're seeing their town. I mean, this is people that's coming to the food truck rally. And they're saying, well, I didn't know you had this, didn't know you had, and some of them, like I said, the ones in Morristown said, we didn't know you had a bowling alley. So we're bringing people back. And like I said, if we don't do something, this bowling alley's going to close. And I'm afraid if it closes this time, it'll be off the road. I mean, it's a family owned it. And I mean, it's $11. They're not going to make it if we don't do something. And we're doing that to bring to them. And I'm bringing it back to I just want to bring it to the people of Rogersville and to the city. And I ask anybody that wants to come to one, come to it. Try the food. I promise you. Look in the kitchen. You'll see how spotless they are. And you won't get food like that in a restaurant. I promise you. Like we had one, I think I was telling Brian, they offered Alaskan snow crab legs with 10 shrimp, sausages, corn on the cob, and red potatoes, and all for $25. People was walking out there and they said, you can't buy nothing like this nowhere else for $25. And I said, you can't even get crab legs, you gotta go to Johnson City to get crab legs up Red Lobster. So I mean, we're bringing stuff to them. It's just I'm not doing it for me, and that's why I said I'm doing it for the community. I'm just trying to bring something to the community we've not had. And I know our donut truck out here, it's not from Hawkins County, so that money goes back out of the county. But we've got 5 trucks. I've got a donut truck that comes. It is in Hawkins County. They live in Mount Carmel. We got 5 trucks. It's right here it's in Hawkins County. It's paying taxes right back to us. So it's giving back to the county. So I just want to thank you all again for the time, allowing me to speak, allowing her to speak. And I'll too, I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, I've been out there. I ate at the one that had the fish place. Good fish, or anything that's going to do. It's kind of neat. The only thing I saw bad about it was people parking across the street and walking across the road. That's a dangerous thing.
I think that was its first one, Mayor.
Yes, it was.
Okay, well, we moved it, and we moved it, and it was. I seen that right off the bat. That was, I agree with you 100%. And we never thought it'd be as big as it was. I mean, it blowed us all away. But we moved it out to bowling alley, so.
Well, it's still the same thing there too, because I saw this parking across the street at the government's house.
There's very few, very, very few. And I mean, if you think about it, out here, when they have something out here downtown, they're walking from all over the place around here, downtown on the streets. And I mean, out there, they're not. Most of them are parking in the parking lot, and they've got these room in there for them to park. It's just some of them, it's like anywhere else. If you let somebody, some people just park, just send park over to the other side of the road or whatever. But there's room in there for the park. We've never had a place, like I said, somebody coming there with a bass boat. I was shaking my head the whole time with the bass boat. I was like, how in the world are you getting a bass boat in here and swinging it around with a dually truck? Had a truck like yours, Brian. He had a bass boat behind it. So there's plenty of room. And so, I mean, there is room out there to park if people wants to do it and stuff. And we are trying to make sure that we get as many people in there, and we are keeping a fire lane open, and we do keep an ambulance side open too. So it is safe for them.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you for talking. Public hearing on ordinance 5923-1. This is amending zone ordinance. This is the public hearing. Anybody have anything to say on this? This is the second and final reading on ordinance 5923-1, amending the zoning ordinance, the short-term rental ordinance.
Make a motion to pass it on the second reading.
Right here, second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those disapproved, no. Second and final reading on ordinance 5923-2. This is the second reading. For Title 9 of the RMC, temporary food vendors regulation. You want to tell us what?
Correct. This is the food vendor application or regulation. This is not a special event. This is not specifically addressing a food truck rally or large-scale gathering of any kind. This is just the ordinance which would require the food trucks to, or any mobile food vendor to apply for a yearly license, which is fairly common. For $50 application fee. There are no inspections or additional requirements from the town. It's just the town's way to ensure that they do have the appropriate health and state licenses and regulations. It's the only way the town can monitor that the food trucks within the town do in fact have those things. And no one disagrees that most do, but how do we know? How do we make sure? Well, you have to have some sort of ability to monitor and regulate it and ensure that it is done. So this simply creates an application process and an ordinance which would require anyone operating within the town to have that permit from the town where they do ensure that the things are in place.
And that does include the fee. That does include the fee.
It's a $50 yearly fee, yes.
I make a motion we approve it on the second reading.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those disapproved, no. All right, this is the second and final reading on ordinance 5923-3. This is Title 9 of the RMC. This is parades and special events.
Yes. Now this covers more than what we're calling a food truck rally, which we define as a gathering of more than 4 food trucks that is planned and, carried on within the town. But this is any large-scale gathering that is not approved by the town or put on by the town, Chamber of Commerce, on a regular basis. So this gives I think there's some misinformation or misbelief that this somehow bans a food truck rally. It does not. It's simply everything that is happening can still happen. It just has to be approved if this passes by the town after an application. And the town cannot deny these simply because they don't like what it is. It actually puts into the ordinance requirements that it only be based on time, place, and manner. It's to ensure that the town has the appropriate resources and safety regulations in place to be able to handle large-scale events. And anytime there's a gathering of 2,000 to 2,500 people coming into a place on a day, I think the town has an interest in making sure that's done in an appropriate place. I point out some things have been brought up about, well, we moved or we did this. Well, what if another group doesn't? Or they don't move? What if they continue to have it in an unsafe place or someplace that causes problems? So with those things in mind, I think this addresses it and allows the town to make sure that everything's done in a safe manner and an appropriate manner, and it does not prevent things that are good from the town from occurring. Just has to be approved and make sure it does work with everything else that's going on in the town.
The big concerns that were made when I got the phone calls, do we have any regulations for this? Well, we have addressed that in the first thing that we passed. The second thing was that we talked about it as a special event. I just think it's very, very important that we do have some type of governance, making sure we got the safety factor in mind for our citizens that want to come to this, or even somebody just coming through town, that may want to participate, make sure that they're going to come to something that's operated in a safe way and permitted the right way. I think it's great we're having these. I love food trucks. It's awesome. I have nothing against it whatsoever. But I appreciate you taking the time to put this together for the protection of the people. I do make that as a motion.
Moving second.
Does it mean that I can come up here tomorrow and put in, we're gonna have one there at 1410 East Main Street every 2 weeks, and it's approved?
It requires approval by the city recorder. Takes the application, he makes a recommendation based on a complete application, and it does have to be a special event, has to be approved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, so that would require up to 30 days notice. There is no prohibition that would prevent an application, I suppose, that stated multiple dates, but that would be up to the board to consider whether they wanted to approve multiple special events.
What we're wanting to do is do it every 2 weeks, and like if it's not raining. Like this last week, we'd had the Pershing Fire Department there, they'd had a fire truck there for the kids to play on, and we'd had cornhole out there so people could play cornhole while they're sitting there. And it's great just seeing people sitting on the ground just socializing, eating and stuff. And we just and we're going to donate at the end of the night. I was going to go around to the food trucks and ask for a donation with the Pershing Fire Department. Then the next one, then 2 weeks later, it's going to go to Bull Scout, and we're going to go to Lakeview, Rogersville, all the way up, all the way around.
In my opinion, it would have to have a specific date and time and place approved. That's the purpose of the ordinance.
Well, we could go through and put every 2 weeks. We could put that Wednesday every 2 weeks on.
You could apply for that in that manner, I believe.
Since you're saying it takes 30 days, when we're talking right now.
For instance, the Chamber of Commerce, the town hosts multiple large events. They're all approved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen
But they're not, and they're for the city.
Right, but they are a time and place,
Correct.
put it on a date.
Well, I agree. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These will be strictly every 2 weeks, and if it rains, but like I said, our chamber is a whole different thing. The city doesn't have their own chamber, like Kingsport, Greenville, Marshtown, everything. We got a county chamber. It's only doing things for Rogersville City. They don't do nothing for Bulls Gap. They don't do nothing for Scoresville. They do nothing else for anything. Actually, I want to let you know, I'm going to ask them to cut the budget on it at the county commission meeting, because the chamber is not doing nothing for the county itself. It's a felon chamber.
That's up to you.
But I mean, what I'm saying is, can I come up here tomorrow? Is it gonna cost anything to put this in, put the petition in for us to have it every 2 weeks? Did it cost us?
There's a motion on the floor at the
Yes,
moment.
we
I don't
have
know.
passed the motion here. We have a motion second. Any other discussion besides? Let's vote on it first. All in favor, say aye. Disapprove, no. I don't think that there'd be any time limit on it, would there? That'd be up to Glenn.
I may have lost that question.
Well, he was wanting to do it and put it for every 2 weeks. Is that what you're?
As long as you apply.
Yeah, I was asking if there's gonna be, if we could put it for every 2 weeks, and if there was a fee with this application.
We'd have to see. We wouldn't want you to go in like the Heritage Station, having theirs had it then.
Oh, no, because theirs is
There'd
on.
be something else that you might interrupt with. We don't want to be having two things. We've 8 money from each.
No, we're just gonna do it on Wednesdays, and I mean, there's nothing happens in our town on Wednesdays. And I mean, if you don't look, if you've not been around, we're losing our youth. Bad. We went down, which I done the census. From the last census, this census here, we lost 5,000 people in the county, as a county-wide. And I know we got people moving in here, like that little girl and everything, but we're losing our youth. We're losing our youth due to felon industrial board, industrial commission, and just not having nothing. We got to, you got to get a washer and dryer. You got to go to Marshtown now. If you get a refrigerator, you got to go to Marshtown or Kingsport. When we're having to go out of town for so much stuff, and I'm trying to bring stuff back to town just to get stuff back in this thing.
Well, there's a place on 66 that you can get a washer and dryer.
A cheap washer and dryer. It ain't no good. It's not a good brand, good name. It ain't like
I'm not going to argue with you about that. That's something people have to do on their own.
Right.
All we're doing about this is.
But that's why I'm asking, because I know there's nothing happens on Wednesdays. That's why we picked Mondays, but because the bowling alley's open on Monday, and they have a league, we couldn't do it on Mondays. So we went to Wednesday, because she said that was free the whole year long, that we could have it there. And Mr. Wilson said we could have it there every Wednesday, and it's to help them. And I mean,
There'll be a complete application. You'll have the ability to apply that requires certain information. So.
when's the earliest I can fill it out?
That'd be up to you and Glenn.
It's past time,
It'll be
so it's
available.
should be
It's
available, so
Right.
have paperwork ready if you want to fill it out.
They have not yet voted on the next question, the fee to apply.
This is 6/13/23/1, setting the fee for the parade and special event permits. How much is it, $50?
It's not set. Rather than have a fee built into the ordinance that, you have to amend an ordinance every time, it's just a resolution setting a fee, change it by resolution. So that's completely up to the board. What do you want that fee to be per event? Yearly fee, I think it's intended to be a per event permit fee, but it require any special event if they're going to apply and see if they're investigated. Most towns have a small fee of some kind associated. So,
Could that be covered like a monthly event instead of every 2 weeks like they want?
it could, the board could certainly
Go by the month, would that make more sense?
do
I think you need to have in my opinion, I don't think the fee needs to be high at all, or very little or minimal or done, in my opinion, just because, you know, they're gonna have another special permit, you know, and I just don't see, I mean, personally, why you'd even have to have a fee for the application. I don't know what your all's thoughts are. I mean, I know it's gonna, take up county, but city employee time, but that's just part of the application. I don't think we should even charge a fee for that personally.
You know, I think there'll be a minimum fee, I don't, that's my thing.
They still got the cooking.
So if it's for every 2 weeks, it couldn't be high. But if it's a monthly fee, I would go $50 on a monthly fee, but every 2 weeks, I would go.
I can tell you, if it goes to, I don't think the food trucks will care, because they're gonna pay $50 one time a year here in Rogersville, anyway, to do it. But if it goes to a $50 fee a month or something, they're not coming back. They're not coming because they don't do it no
It's
way.
just applying, it's not for
applying,
each
it's not-
other.
That's not.
It's not per
not per
truck.
truck.
No, I'm saying they won't come back as a group. You don't understand, these trucks go as a group. They run like same as a carnival, so they run a circuit. And I was actually lucky to get them in on a Wednesday night on a circuit. Because they're, like tonight, they was supposed to go be here, but they're in Marshtown set up at Rural King parking lot in there. So and they don't pay nothing.
I don't think you understood what we're, do you not understand what we're saying? That it's just a one-time thing, am I correct?
That's what I'm
Like whenever you
$50.
It's one
apply
time
to do
$50 over the whole year.
each
That's
month.
for,
But it wouldn't be each truck, it would just be,
It'd be a
that's
monthly
what I'm
time
saying,
each
it'd
month.
be $50 every month.
For
We
each
had to come up here and pay
For the
$50
event.
every month.
$50
Get a
for the
fee
event.
For each
to have it
week, right,
for
yeah.
every 2 weeks.
No, it was.
So what do you want to do?
It's up to them, I mean.
If you can.
How many trucks do you have?
but the special event,
Depends on the time and everything. We're averaging
it would be per truck.
15 trucks.
Okay, that's
Per
what I
That's
was,
what I think he's thinking,
Yeah.
it's not per
So I mean, you're
truck.
talking about you're just gonna get a pretty big chunk of change.
it would just be, it'd just be 50,
Well, $50 times 15.
but
everybody-
no, it's not per
You're not
truck.
getting it.
It's not per truck. It's just for the application,
It's for the
One
for-
time.
for the event.
for the event,
For the
$50 for the event.
So if you got 10
10
explain
trucks,
like
it would
10
cost
trucks,
them $5
explain,
per
Kevin,
truck.
how that,
I'm
if you had
the- okay, I'm
if
the
you
one.
had a $50,
Okay, that's gonna cost me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to put it up, so it's gonna cost me
That's just
$50 twice a month. That's $100. And that's taking $100 away from the charity we're giving it to. That's taking just like this time, if I'd had to do that right off the bat, that would take $100 off of St. Jude's and $100 off of Children's.
We can't have them here for nothing.
Well, you're not having them here for nothing. The donut truck sits out here free of charge, right here. They don't pay nothing to set up.
But we haven't
but
said
that's
anything
that's
yet.
one truck. It's not more
Yeah,
than
they don't
four.
pay, Brian. Guess what? That truck is not even from Hawkins County. We got 5 trucks. It's right here in Hawkins County, paying taxes back to the state of Tennessee and the county of Hawkins County.
So this.
But we're past this, the donut truck's gonna pay, they won't pay the same thing.
No, they'll
Well,
pay
they want to
$50.
your face or just one
This ordinance,
They won't pay an event fee or nothing.
this ordinance applies to more than just a food truck rally. This is any large-scale special event. that-
But you've got everybody to get from it too.
Well, I'll let you talk. I mean, just.
I know.
Every time I've tried to answer, you've interrupted, so.
Can I ask a question on the other side of that? If I want to hold an event, but I only want to hold it once a year, so my application fee would be $50.
We haven't said it yet.
What would the application fee? But if he holds the event and he only has to pay it, how do you say? Why should I pay the same amount if he's going to do it more often?
Well, they're saying I have to pay it every month.
Did you have it already?
So if I went to have one-time event, it would only be one application fee. Right.
Right.
If I wanted to have 10, I would have to apply for it 10 different times, correct? Okay.
That's what I'm saying, we're
It
leaving
hasn't
out.
been voted on nor approved. There's no motion as to how.
But we're
that
just saying if that was
would be
$50.
proposed At this point.
But what we're saying, we're leaving out, I can understand the city saying, okay, the city schools left out. They're exempt because it is a city. But when you get to chamber, that's a county issue. The school up here, that's a county. Then the churches, I mean, they're another issue. I mean, they're doing it as a charity, so, and we are too, it's not, nobody's taking no money from here, we're giving it back to the county. We're giving it to the bowling alley, we're giving it to the fire department and stuff.
So did you make a motion for $50 is what you, but did you say per event or was it a monthly fee?
I was thinking monthly. Because if he's having one every 2 weeks, then I'm not for $50 for every 2 weeks. But for a month, I would think $50 would be sufficient.
And it has to be approved.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the main thing is like, in my eyes, like accountability, just kind of knowing what events are going on, you know, at whatever time. And I mean, I do like a $25 or $10. I mean, I think the point of being is like knowing kind of so that the city police or whoever knows that, you know, knows that this event's going on and it's going to be here and it's going to be there. And I think it needs to be a lower fee personally, like $10, $25. I think just more of the, just knowing what's going on and kind of giving us a heads up, say, hey, this is happening on this day or whatever.
And it also, it's more than just food trucks.
It's safety, it's, you know, just to make sure everybody knows that the event's going on. But and personally, I just think the fee needs to be lower, and that's my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I think 50's way too high. I mean, in my opinion, I think we're, you know, $10, $25. I mean, that's my opinion. So.
Or y'all think.
So are you saying $25 per event?
Yeah, I think $25 per event, and I would assume like in this truck rally, like it'd be, if I was you, I would charge, you know, that $25. You know, if you had, I mean, it'd be like what, not you had 25 vendors out there, they'd pay an extra $1 to help you pay the fee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not bad, you know, but to see a, you know, $1,500 fee, I don't see it, but I think $25 is.
Yeah, I mean, I never know what's gonna show up.
Right, but
when
you know,
I get-
if you,
right.
even if you had five, that's a small amount of money, and it's.
Right, and I think, I mean, that's just me talking here, I think it like the donut truck, it sits out here, the ones that throw the parking logo, they should, we're gonna pay a fee for parking, you know, for, they need to be there. 'Cause if
Yeah,
you're
that's
walking
kind of,
around-
They're single trucks.
but that's kind of a little different because it's a single trip, you know, versus like,
Four.
yeah. And then I think when you go to such a big event too, you know, you're gonna have the less cost, you know, just, like I said, if you got 10 people and $25 fee, it's not gonna be.
I don't think they're going.
$25.
I can't see $2 at 10 trucks, $2.50.
Yeah, I mean, if that bought, you know.
Well, no, I'm sure that won't bother them, I mean, can we do $25 a month? I mean, cause this is me putting this on just for the county and for the city.
I think we've come down to say this per event.
I'm doing it for the city too, I mean, cause if you look,
But
like I said,
But like if you had 10 trucks, it'd be $2.50. You know, I mean, I think they paid that.
well, I mean, what I was wanting to do is, I don't wanna have to run up here every Monday and put one in, cause you say it takes 30 days to get it noticed. So, I mean, we're talking right now, we're gonna be mid-July, even get the first, and as soon as I get this first, as soon as I put the first in, I want to come back next week and put another in for the next 2 weeks.
I don't think you
Yeah,
have
you
to
put
do
them
that. I
all
think
on
you have to.
You
I
can
think
put them
you have
multiple
to-
on one application, right, Kevin?
You could apply in one application as long as you list the specific time, place, and date for all of your events. The town, the board could approve those, and I think.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that, I can put
They
them
don't have
all,
to, but they could.
yeah, and put on there, subject to rain.
Yeah, and if you rain, it's canceled or whatever.
Right,
you know.
subject to rain is canceled, I mean, I was even planning, you know, doing something special for the town too, I mean, I just want to do something.
We'd appreciate that.
I just want to do something for everybody. I mean, I just want to bring it to the community. I mean,
$5 a plate.
Yeah,
So was your motion for-
I'll make a motion for $25
Per event.
per event. And that's, I mean, I think that's fair to everybody, in my opinion.
So,
I'll
what
make
are
a
you
motion.
saying if he comes every 2 weeks?
Do we have a second?
Yeah, but he could put it on
Danny
there.
said.
Danny said,
What are we gonna do?
Explain
25.
that to us.
20, I'll make a motion, we do 25 per event, and you put multiple, I mean, on the application, you can put multiple events, but, you know, subject to the $25.
Multiple dates?
Yeah, multiple dates. Does that
I think you can do
sound?
that, yeah.
so if we put four dates on
Yeah, so
there,
you could put, yeah,
would it be $100 then? Is that, am I understand this right?
yeah.
What about, see if it rains, what we do then? We made one, then we canceled it. We had to cancel for the rain. We just lose $25 there.
You know, we're not weather people, I mean.
Well, I know that, but that's what I'm saying.
You have a second on this then? Yeah. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say, so we go ahead and go.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, that's just losing money. I mean, then, that's my money coming out of my pocket.
You're doing the permit, I'm lost.
Well, I mean, I'd be the one come up here to do the permit out of my pocket. Then I could go out there and ask them for it, but
Okay.
but if it rains, they're canceled, and they're not gonna give me no money for that permit. I just lost
Are
$25.
you the organizer of it? Or
Me
do
and
you have
Rachel
a-
Collins.
Do you have a food truck?
No, I'm planning on bringing back my dad's Golden Dairy. One, I'm gonna bring back the original Golden Dairy and to bring Dad's truck, bring it back in a truck. That's what I want to do. I want to bring back Dad's Golden Giant Burger, Golden Burger, and his foot long hot dog and his ice cream. And that was something else that I was going to touch on, because I know he said ice cream trucks need to move every 15 minutes. And I know what he was thinking when he was thinking that was talking about the ones that go around the subdivision. But there is ice cream trucks that are state approved and everything. It sets up like at the event. It's got ice cream. They got the freezers and everything on. They do banana
That's only if
splits.
they're on public property, if they're on a public road somewhere,
Yeah,
you
right.
can't just park on the road. You
Right, and
gotta-
that's what I do. That's what I was
you
going to
gotta
clarify that there is food trucks out there that's got ice cream on it.
But we got a motion and a
Yes,
second, right?
right.
Keep in mind, this is a resolution, so it can be changed next month if you decide otherwise.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, $25? Those disapproved, no. Okay.